here she is. I am excited about this next guest. We're talking to not Michael Jordan. No, we're talking to MJ Acosta-Ruiz, the host of NFL Total Access. MJ, how are you doing? Thank you for jumping on with us today.
I'm great. It's so good to be here with you guys. Like just chilling with my friends. I wish we were like at a bar or something, but hey, we'll take a Zoom call.
That's the kind of energy we try and bring to Compas. It's just hanging out with your buddies, talking and everything. We're excited about you coming on.
Yeah,
Sidebar Compas is like possibly the best name for this pod ever. I love it.
I love that response, MJ. And I think you're better than Michael Jordan. So I'm very excited to have you on the show. And you're already giving the name a shout out.
Yes, listen, I'm here for Compas, but you know my favorite Spanish nickname in the NFL, Fernando, is Patricio mi compa for that specific reason. It's just my homies, hanging with my homies.
Well, MJ, we love it. We would like to see you, on camera, also on NFL Total Access. You're a superstar, MJ, and I want to just make sure that people get what you're doing, because I thought it was a very historic big deal. An Afro Latina hosting a show on NFL Network for the first time. First of all, you got to take me back when you first found out the good news about I watch this show all the time, so I love to see you on there. When you found out the good news, what was the emotion like? What did you do first? Kind of take me back to that story and how you kind of earned that job.
Well, the news came in the middle of the pandemic, right? So when I tell you I was not expecting this, I was not expecting this. It was a time when, a lot of people were getting laid off or furloughed. The last thing I expected was that they were going to promote me and move me to another city in the middle of the apocalypse. So it's just a testament, I think, to one of those things that we always, I'm sure your parents have said this a million times. Lo que está para ti, nadie te lo quita. Nadie te lo quita. Not even the pandemic can take away what is meant for you. And that's exactly sort of what led me here. I spent two years with the NFL Network before moving to Los Angeles and San Francisco as a reporter covering the Niners and the Raiders predominantly, but mostly the entire league. I mean, at any point, you sort of have to be ready to cover any team they need you to. And I was also able to fill in on a lot of different shows on Total Access, on NFL Now, on Good Morning Football. So I was able to flex that hosting muscle that I've always had. And I really worked hard to show them everything that I could bring to the table, and that I was willing to work whenever and however they needed me to. Sometimes that's a detriment, to always be the one side. Yeah, I'll do it. You can burn yourself out a little bit, but at the end of the day, the proof is in the pudding, and how much work you put in, and your work ethic will always precede you in this business.
Yeah, MJ, I don't want to say you were surprised, but it sounds like they had you in mind. They wanted you for this role, this job. So it wasn't really like an applying process. You were the first and the only choice, and they wanted you. Is that kind of what the feel I'm getting?
Do you know something I don't know? Because I don't know all that. But I do know that I had, one of the things as I got a little older and involved in this industry, I've been doing this for almost 12 years. Was to really ask for what you want and what you feel you have earned. And I know how much work and how much preparation I've put into my career, into really honing my skills, my credibility throughout the league specifically. So in 2020, as crazy as it sounds, I always pick a word for every year. And my word for 2020 was bold. So be bold, ask for what you want, and have those conversations with your bosses. If you don't ask, you're never going to know, right? So at that point, God had something even bigger in my mind than what I could have envisioned. I said, hey, I'd love the opportunity to do some more stuff in studio. I didn't have anything in mind in terms of a show. And meantime, we're working in another direction, and this opportunity presented itself, and I was ready. I was ready for it. So it did take me off guard, though. It really did. I was not expecting it. I remember looking at my husband and saying, like, oh my God, this is really happening. He had the same reaction as you guys were, like, yeah, duh, and be like, what else? But I think sometimes we're our harshest critics, and it's tough to even see ourselves the way that others do.
MJ, and I know we'll get into a little bit of how I know about your career and everything in a little bit, but can you just talk about where your journey started? I mean, you went to Barry University. You started doing a lot of things within media. When did you know sports was the direction where you wanted to take your career?
Yeah, pretty early on. Once I started actually working as a journalist, sports was the first job that I got. because I'd always sort of lived in that space throughout my life and just as a sports fan, right? So when it came to sort of working and doing and aligning with what you love, I knew that covering sports was going to be the best fit for me. I knew it was going to be a lot of work though, and I started in a very big market already. So I started in Miami, where most of the sports reporters and writers there had been there for a minute. So it's not like there's a ton of sort of opportunities there. So I took the ones that came at me and really held on and milked them for everything that I could. So I knew that sort of the news side of things, while I did that for a number of years, was just not the avenue that I wanted to go down. You got to be about that news life to really fully be successful and to do it justice, because it does take a certain amount of sort of gumption to go down that road. And so while I was a news reporter, I fully committed myself to that, but it sort of like tore at my soul a little bit every day. And when I did get opportunities to do sports, I could just feel the difference. So eventually I said, all right, I got to make a pivot. I got to leave Miami to really be able to spread my wings. And that's how, opportunity came up in San Diego, where I met Fernando and sort of started a different course.
No, and I mean, we've been in newsrooms, MJ. We see everybody else is kind of, and we're like excited, hyped up, and we're walking around. Exactly. MJ, if people follow you on social media, they see the cheerleading, bang, bang. I mean, we all know the dancing and everything. Can you talk a little bit about that and kind of your journey as how you made it into cheerleading and went from that and increased your platform and kept on really progressing through this field?
Yeah. So a lot of people ask me about that, because I think the assumption is that I was a cheerleader first, and then that led me to journalism. And I was actually a reporter before I became an NFL cheerleader. So I've been a dancer my entire life. That is like my one true love, my heart's passion. But the way that your 30s are set up, you can only dance but for so long. Lord, fix it. So I actually started off in the biz a little later than most people, because I took some time to follow my passion of dance. That's the only thing that I knew for certain that I wanted to do in my life. I was in college and I was very lost. So I didn't leave high school from doing the morning announcements and I'm going to be a journalist. I had no freaking clue. All I knew is I wanted to dance. So I did that collegiately for 3 years, and I was no closer to what I wanted to be when I grew up than I was when I started, So I said, let me stop accumulating student debt for a few years and figure out what the hell I want to do with my life. Ultimately, dance is what led me to television. I was cast on a television show for Mundos. It no longer exists, but it was like a sister network to Telemundo. So I was on this music show, and I fell in love with the production side of it, just the putting together of the show, a rundown meeting, talking with the host. I was like, this is cool as hell. It's a lot of work, but I really love this. And so the following semester, I enrolled back in school to the broadcast program. But at that point, I was 24, and I still had a full 3 years left of school. So I was a little older by, television broadcast standards than most of the people who are starting out in the biz. So I knew I had to make up for lost time. There's no time to waste. I had to get in there. And so that's sort of how I started to build on it. After I graduated and got my first reporter job in English and in Spanish for a bilingual station, there was one more thing I wanted to check off dance-wise, and that was to become a Dolphins cheerleader. Fernando, you know this. Gilbert, you might not. I tried out 4 other times for the Dolphins, came all the way close to the finals, and didn't make the team 4 times in a row. So I still had a little something in me that said maybe I could make it. And so, of course, the year that I'm working, a full-time professional, was the year that I made the team. But I did both. at the same time. I was covering mainly high school sports, so it wasn't a conflict in that sense. But man, I had the best seat in the house to every Dolphins game. So I got to hear things and see things that most people, journalists included, never really get that point of view. And it was really nice to be part of an organization and to sort of see the other side of it and how the teams run too. So that experience to me was invaluable. I do have to say.
MJ,
but yeah.
I gotta say, MJ, I love your background, your story. I'm learning something new all the time. And Fernando gave me a whole list of things you've done. So you do it all. You're very versatile. And I just
a lot of things.
and I love your path and your route. But I'm asking 2 questions. One kind of off the radar because you are a dancer and you hosted a music show. have you gotten the Bad Bunny tickets yet? I gotta
Let
ask
me tell you
everybody.
something about these Bad Bunny tickets, okay? First of all, I spent way too much time, probably like over an hour, looking at the Bad Bunny ticket meme last night, like looking for padrinos for my Bad Bunny concert
Yes.
ticket. Or there was another one that said, husband, who sold my PS5? Me at the Bad Bunny concert. Like, why are they so expensive, Benito? What's happening? This is wild. It's a pandemic. Estamos en mala. Can't be spending $500 for like nosebleed seats to Bad Bunny. I guess I'm gonna watch him on the internet because
You would think he would have made a lot of money off of WWE being with WrestleMania and everything.
apparently not. But we also like this is also not like directly Bad Bunny, right? Like we're going hard on him. Like this is his people. They're trying to milk this shit, and you know what's gonna happen? People are gonna pay the money.
Oh yeah,
they're gonna pay the money. They're gonna figure it out. They're gonna take their stimulus check, whatever it is. I'm not mad at anybody. We need this. We need a concert in our lives. So do you, no judgment, but that's a bit much. That's a bit much.
MJ, I was ready to drop $500 before I got into this.
I knew it.
I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna just maybe I will come December or January. But
live your life. Live your life.
You know, we gotta do what we gotta do for our gente. But MJ, I gotta ask you about one more background question for at least for me. You have a full extensive background, but something stood out to me. You used to call boxing and MMA fights in Florida.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How was that like? Was this like professional, amateur? What type of combat sports were you covering?
Yeah, there was sort of like, I suppose we could call it like amateur level, but I mean, it was regulated by the Florida Boxing Commission. So it was a lot of MMA. I remember I did one specific event and it was a combo event. It was boxing and MMA together. So they had a boxing ring and then like an octagon. It was freaking wild. And so I was interviewing all of these fighters on the boxing side and the MMA side for weeks leading up to it. So I was going to all these jiu-jitsu studios and all these boxing gyms. It was intense. But the beautiful part of it was that a lot of boxers were coming in from the Caribbean and from South America, most of whom did not speak English. So I was able to really interview these guys and get to know these guys who otherwise weren't getting any coverage because the English language media couldn't really speak to them without a translator. So it was really cool to see some of them. I will say, like, post-match and interviews are not glamorous. All right. These guys are huge and they're sweaty and like, you know, like this, it's not conducive to like a COVID world interview, right? There's like spit and stuff all over the place. It was intense. Blood. I got a real different perspective of the boxing world. It is so much more gruesome in real life than what you see on television, but man, it was cool. Like, it was really cool to actually be in the ring. Especially as a woman, it wasn't really seen. Like, most people probably thought I was like the ring card girl, which by the way, they're fierce. So it was a really cool experience.
That's awesome, AJ. And MJ, I really like that you embrace a bilingual, because that type of skills does matter in the field. And when you're interviewing, boxers, baseball players, NFL players, that skill really comes in handy. But MJ, before I let you talk about San Diego and Fernando, so I want to get to know Fernando from 5 years ago. I want to ask you questions about that. Before I get there, I got to ask you, your parents are from Dominican Republic. Where is the best food for Dominican Republic in Los Angeles? Because I need to try some of that food.
I haven't really, because of the pandemic, I haven't really been able to explore too much, but there is a place here called Mofongos, LA, that has like Puerto Rican and like Dominican food. It's like in North Hollywood. I have not been there yet, so I can't vouch for it, but it's on my list of places to go. But if you're familiar with LA, I'm more on the west side. Like going to North Hollywood, that's like a day trip. Like I got to plan it out and make sure, we have like bathroom stops along the way before we get there. But it's on my list. Once I get those for you, I got you though. Full list.
I'm ready.
And honestly, those lists, MJ is serious. Like, she does have lists. Like, don't think she's playing. It's not a mental list. No. It is written down. She knows what list she has. But
I'm a lister.
Shifting a little bit to San Diego, MJ, I remember the first time I met you. It was a media. So Gilbert, this is the crazy part. The Chargers had a media day. Actually, you know what? It's probably around right now. Like, it
would be around right now.
Around right now. That's incredible. So we had a media day, pro day. So they
It was
wanted
a
the media combine.
Yeah.
So it was around this time that MJ and I met. And so our good friend Dante Lascano, everybody's heard about Dante and everything. Everybody knows about Dante. Dante and I had injuries. Marjorie. We had injuries. Dante and I had injuries, so we couldn't participate. It was one of those things.
Allegedly.
So, allegedly. So we see somebody just killing every single obstacle course, and I'm like, wow, that's incredible. And like we're watching. And the winner is MJ wins like the competition. She kills it. Bill Johnston, shout out to Bill Johnston, who used to be the PR director. He literally he gives MJ, I think, what was it, like dinner somewhere?
No, it was a Nike gift card.
Oh, Nike gift card. There you go. Yeah. So then we go back to the media center, and Dante and I are talking. And he's like, "Well, I want to meet whoever she is." And I'm like, "Okay, well, let's go over." So we start talking. An hour, 2 hours pass by, and we're just sitting there talking with MJ, and it was just so awesome to get to know her and everything, because we didn't really see a lot of people out here who did sports, who was a woman, and then on top of that, she was Latina, so it was different to kind of see that different aspect, and we just got to talking, and it was incredible. And honestly, right now, I'm gonna get a little sentimental. I don't mean to, but honestly, if it wasn't for MJ, she gave me my break. She got me in. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be right here. I wouldn't be doing this Compas on the beat. Like, I don't know where I'd be, but she literally opened the door for me, and I will be ever thankful to her. She's a mentor. She's a big sister to me. She's everything. So MJ, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, I just want to say thank you so much for the opportunity that you gave me all those years ago.
Oh, Fernando.
I know, but
you know I'm a crier too. How dare you?
I know, but we're yeah.
Listen, Fernando's one of those people. I appreciate you saying that. Thank you, because a big part of my sort of what I want to leave behind many years from now, once I'm done with this, is that I opened doors, even if it was just a little bit for other folks. But I will say this: Fernando is one of those people. He was going to get himself in one way or another, because and you know this, Gilbert, he has that gumption. He has that like X factor sort of determination. And that is why for me, I was like, all right, this is somebody I can really pour into, because he already has sort of those basic things, those instincts that you need as a sports reporter to really make it in this world. And on top of that, he was unbelievably kind, very, very helpful to me. I was the new girl in town. He didn't have to talk to me or help me at all. A lot of people didn't, but a lot of people did too. There was a really good group there, especially those of us covering the Chargers. Nick Hardwick, great dude. Yeah. I mean, he was really, really nice. A lot of guys too. So I always want to be able to reciprocate that to other people. But you worked for it, and you did it on your own too. So don't discount your effort.
No, I know. I appreciate it.
I guess I got to thank you, MJ, then, because if you never gave Fernando a shot, we wouldn't be doing Compas on the beat. So I, too, shed a tear.
You're welcome.
But I got to ask you, MJ, because Fernando is very energetic, and we like to make a joke here that, I'm not on the same level. If we're doing something in the morning, I'm a little sluggish, I'm a little tired. But as soon as I see Fernando, you can do it, Fernando. Do what you say, and just kind of...
Anytime Gilbert shows up at Chargers, or even our opening for the podcast, the way I greet him, I go, "What's up, bro?" And I get him all, but like he could come in and all sluggish and this and that, and I greet him with that, and I could tell his demeanor flips.
How do you not laugh? How do you not laugh?
That's the thing. I always laugh, but it's just like, I worked hard the day before. I'm a little tired. It could be 8 a.m. And he hits me, "What's up, bro?" But then it's like, hey, it's time to work. It's showtime. So
yeah, it sets the tone.
Exactly. So
but he could be talking to anybody else. He could be greeting people while he walks in. I don't care. I'm still gonna greet him from far away.
So how was Fernando 6 years ago? Was he ever shy at all, or no? Am I wrong there for sure?
Shy?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Are you kidding? No. But that's the whole point. You sort of need that part of it, which is interesting, because sometimes you can watch Fernando as he's working, right? And he's zeroed in. So he's paying attention, he's taking notes. You might think that he's like more of an introvert, like this, but no, like this dude is a people person. Like, it doesn't matter who's in front of him. He can talk to anybody, whether it's a WWE wrestler, a defensive end, a GM, a team owner, or whoever, like, you know, who's at the concession stand. Like, it doesn't matter the spectrum. Like, he's going to talk to every single person, and that's a tremendous quality to have. But he always brings, like I said at the beginning, he brings that energy, which is also a very special thing, right? You need it. Like, Fernando knows I was going through a lot of, like, sort of dark times in San Diego, so it was selfishly so nice to have him there with me at work to sort of lift me up and lift my spirits too, and like almost like, hey, you got to be in tune with your star player. We going in, let's go, type of energy. So it was great.
It was hilarious because I mean, Telemundo had just started when I arrived at NBC. So this is literally it, Gilbert. MJ would go in at 6:30 to go do her show with Telemundo, and then she'd come to she'd do Telemundo Sports. She'd come right out, come over. We'd go over what she was gonna do for the 6:50 hit of sports. She'd go and do that. Then at night, this is the crazy part. The 11 was crazy. The 11 was crazy. At 11:15, she had to be at Telemundo, and at 11:19, she was done at Telemundo. At 11:20, she had to be in NBC, starting off doing sports. So all you hear is clack, 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 and you can hear her high heels just coming down the line, and you turn around and there she is running into there. And sometimes like, dude, people would get, the directors, everybody would get so nervous. But as soon as that red light went on, you knew MJ was going to be there. But there were times where it was right at the split second, but she'd be there and she'd be ready. It was honestly, like, I think MJ got her best workout doing that.
Fact. I never had to go to the gym working in that time space. But the crazy part is like the technical side. So why the producers sort of get a little nervous is this is two completely different stations, right? So from the back end, it's two different control rooms, two different sets of teams sort of running each newscast. So I had two sets of mics, two sets of earpieces, and like they're all hooked like sort of like the back of my dress or like whatever I was wearing that day. So I had to like sort of look back, like I hope I'm turning on the right one and that I'm punched into the right show and that I'm speaking in the correct language for like the audience that I'm about to talk. It was a lot. I mean, it either really helps my brain function or I don't know. I'm starting to think it's the latter recently because my memory is not serving me as well as it used to. But it really was such a unique situation to do that every day, Monday through Friday, right? It was not just like, oh, okay, today they need me to like do both. I had two full-time jobs there. And I think there are very few, if any, other sports journalists who can say the same. So it's a point of pride to me. And like Fernando was producing for me for both on many occasions. Sometimes I was producing alone for one and he'd have to sort of handle the other, or if we'd switch. But it was a tag team effort. We had a few other producers as well, but he was the only other bilingual person other than myself in the sports department. So yeah, we leaned on each other quite a bit.
It's kind of like when for the writers, like we have a deadline, it's like 9:50 and the story's not in. And editors are freaking out. Where's the story? I'm like, you gave me 9:50. It's going to be there on time. So
right.
You can relax on that. But MJ, it's awesome to hear your story, and sometimes the longer path pays off because you develop more skills, you network.
Oh yeah.
And you do all that on the path, and you meet new people like you guys did together. But I know it's been a while, and it's been about 8 months now since you started hosting NFL Total Access, but have you had a chance to kind of just sit back and soak it in? Because, it's all about working hard. I was going to say, have you had any time, or do you you're all about moving forward? But I know you understand the magnitude of how big it is, but no time yet to kind of be like, wow, this is pretty cool.
I mean, I try to be very present, right? But the thing is, everything moves so fast on a daily basis. And so the show I'm doing now was previously hosted by two people. So now I'm doing, the job that's always been done by two individuals, but because we're in a pandemic, we have half the resources, right? So it's not as many people in the studio. The producers we do have are either working from home or I don't see them at all. So it's a heavier lift sort of on me. And then on top of that, it's not like my analysts are in studio. They're all away as well. So I very much felt like I was on this little island at the beginning. And like, this was my first time hosting a national daily show. So I was like, oh shit, this is happening. It's real, but there's also no time to think about it. So I had to sort of find those moments that said, okay, ask for what you need. Let them know like, hey, this is a lot. But that goes back to what I was saying at the beginning. Like the people who are always like, yeah, I'll do it. no problem. Like, if that's you and you're listening right now, you'll ask for help. It's okay. Like, they're not going to think any less of you. It's very, very necessary to make sure that you have the resources you need within reason, right? Like, right now, everybody's spinning a million plates. We all have more stuff on our plates. And I have to give a shout out to our stage crew, our production staff over at NFL Total Access, because it really has been a challenging year. And there's no playbook for it, right? Like, there was nothing to tell us, like, oh, this is what you do in the middle of a pandemic if you want to do a live show in studio. No, no one's ever done it before. So the fact that we stayed on live the entire season and are still doing so now into the off season is nothing short of a miracle, but also a testament to the great team that we have and everybody there. So it's been nuts, but there really is no time to be like, wow, look at us. We did that. But I guess I should, Gilbert. I should really take in the time to kind of soak it all in.
MJ, what do you feel like when you moved from NBC San Diego to NFL Network? Mm-hmm. When you got to cover the Seahawks, you got to cover the Raiders, and you got to cover the 49ers. Yeah. What was your biggest memory or your biggest takeaway from your 2 seasons covering either of those teams or anything like that?
Yeah. Oh man. There's so many. There's so
many. I got mine for you. So
okay, you go first.
All right, you on a yacht with DJ Khaled.
Okay, but that wasn't even like team related. That was
okay.
Like
I don't care. I thought that was the most awesome thing ever.
Yeah, I mean that was pretty sick. And the thing was, like, I partially grew up, spent most of my life in Miami, so like I would listen to DJ Khaled on the local radio when I was in high school. And when it wasn't even like the main radio station, I'm talking like he was doing like the overnight show. So he's definitely like a South Florida guy. And as much as that experience for me was full circle, like I started, I grew up here, started my career here, and now I'm back hosting and showing everybody around at the Super Bowl in my town. So to do it with a guy who I had been listening to since high school, it was crazy. Like him and Dave Grutman basically run that town. Like, do not be fooled. And so it was really cool to sort of be like, oh, okay, I'm sitting here with both of them on the Groot, which is Dave Grutman's one of his goals, I assume.
Yeah.
I don't know. But it was really, really cool. And he could not have been nicer. Like, he's the chillest, all that. Another one, like, that's one side, but he's like really, really chill.
We're the best.
Really
and MJ told me, like, when I went to that Super Bowl, she told me Miami's crazy, this, that. I didn't know how crazy it was. I was walking with Eric Williams. I mean, everybody loves Eric. We're a friend of the show. We're walking, and we see Floyd Mayweather on a bike with people, and like we're like, oh, what's up, champ? And then he's just saying hi to people. I'm like, wow. I'm like, and everybody, and somebody goes, some guy's just walking. He's like, that's so Miami, and I'm like, wow. I'm like, that's Miami. On brand.
Yeah. I know people talk a lot about like here in LA how there's a lot of like celebrity sightings, but like over there it really is, if you go out any given night, like you're gonna run into somebody that's where the celebrities go to vacation and to party. So it's a really weird sort of place, but I love it.
MJ, now that I remember, you also interviewed Shakira and J-Lo, so that must have been big as well.
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and say that.
Okay, there you go.
Look at her face.
I mean, when I tell guys, I cried right before the interview because I was like kind of overwhelmed, but 2, it was like, so that was a moment, Gilbert, where I was like, okay, take this in, like in this moment, and I was like, you're in jail about to walk in here, and it's just me. It was crazy.
What, like, just take it real quick. What was that like when they walk into the room and everything, and you're kind of like as soon as the camera went red, did you just MJ mode and just get it going, or did you get a little nervous before that?
Well, I was definitely there's not a lot of people who I'm starstruck by. Denzel Washington was one of them when I interviewed him. J-Lo and Shakira is definitely up there as well. Beyonce and Oprah would probably be the only other 2 people. But when I tell you J-Lo has an actual literal glow around her, like I wish I was making this up. It is crazy. It is nuts. So she walked in first, and it was like, but you know me, Fernando, I always try to like sort of like break the ice a little bit. I hate that like super quiet, like 30 seconds before, and then like, hey, that's so fake to me. Like I always want to try and talk to you a little bit. So I did, and we had a couple of moments like right before where we all sort of chit chatted, and it was really cool. I was like, yo, I'm for real, like just having a conversation with J-Lo and Shakira right now. I will never forget that. If I do nothing else the rest of my career, like I think I'm good.
Oh no, there's a lot left in that career. There's going to be a lot bigger moments. MJ, just real quick, Gilbert and I have been talking draft. It seems like for the last few weeks. On a scale of 1 to 10, how crazy do you think this draft is going to be? I feel like it's going to be one of the craziest ones we've ever seen.
I think so too. I was just having this conversation, like everybody, the Niners, and they did that crazy trade to get that 3rd overall pick, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's obviously a quarterback, right? Like you don't trade all of that bounty to not get a QB." I'm like, listen, I spent a lot of time around Shanny and John Lynch, and I feel like there's something cooking, man. Like they could very well just go like Justin Fields and like grab a quarterback and like groom him under Jimmy G. Who knows? But I would expect the unexpected in this draft more than any other, just because we're going into another unprecedented season and the type of talent that there is around the league. Like the league is changing. There is a very palpable shift in the type of athlete that is needed in the league and what teams need to really make it to the Super Bowl. So I wouldn't be surprised if they take like the best athlete out there, Kyle Pitts at number 3. Does it make a whole lot of sense? Yeah, probably not, but it's not off the board. Nothing is off the board. I think this year more so than ever.
MJ, go ahead, Gilbert.
No, I was gonna say I want to see a curveball too at number 3. Everybody's assuming it's a quarterback or Mac Jones, but Kyle Pitts, George Kittle, that'd be fun.
You know who could be the real big curveball is Atlanta at number 4, because presumably they have Matt Ryan there. He's good. He's far from being done. Like he's still solid out there. I just think they got some bad juju on him in Atlanta, because it wasn't like they weren't putting up points, right? That they were putting up big numbers, 30-something points a game for a good part of the season. But then they had us at the end of each game, and then they would lose it, right? Like what's happening?
Kind of like the Chargers.
That's MJ's favorite word. She learned that when she was in San Diego, and she loved it.
Yeah, that's not a universal Spanish word.
It is. No, it is. Okay. But we would use it like in the Caribbean. We use it in a different context, but like,
gotcha.
You could use it. It's a verb. It's an adjective.
Everything.
Honestly, MJ, thank you so much for joining Compas on the Beat. And I just want to let you know you're an honorary compa. We love to have you on. It was exciting. Anything else you want to tell the listeners before we head out?
Listen, I love that, there's so much more representation now for us in the Latino community. Like this is freaking awesome just to be able to talk to you guys, to go back and forth in English and in Spanish. Like there's a lot of us out there who really love this game, who represent for our countries and for the United States just as hard. So thank you guys for having this platform. Like this is so much fun. We're going to see a lot more of it. And I'm excited to bring more of it to the NFL platform.